Ahoy, mateys, and welcome to another episode of Shore Leave, where these two sailors are taking a chance to kick back, absorb the local color, and talk about some Sailor Moon-related topics. I'm your host, Kaliban.
And I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
And we're here to bake up some seafood for our island vacation.
Okay.
Put some shrimp on the Barbie. Whenever you go to a seaside resort or even just any area that's near an ocean, there's a seafood restaurant.
Oh, you have to have a seafood
But
restaurant.
there's no guarantee that that seafood's going to be any good.
Even when it's right there?
And I've got, it's definitely. And
Yeah,
I've got a shore leave planned out called Ceviche Horror Stories.
Oh, yeah.
For the audience that I won't spoil now. Unlike the seafood involved in that ceviche. Welcome to the people watching on Twitch and on YouTube. Thanks for joining us for this ongoing experiment. We're streaming our live shore leaves and we're monitoring the chat throughout the show. So hello, everybody. And if you haven't yet, why not take this chance to go there on Twitch or on YouTube and subscribe to us, hit the heart, the bell, the happy face, whatever the icon is, so you get notified when we're live and broadcasting in the future. And when you get the chance, check out our About page, either on YouTube or here on Twitch. We have a donation button, a tip button, if you want to hit that. If you want to send us a tip on YouTube or a super chat as well, that would be so amazing. We'd really appreciate it. We're going to get started in 1 second here, but before we get started, did we want to do a spoiler-free review of The Flash?
Oh, sure.
Do you want to do that?
Let's do it. It's going to be hard, spoiler-free.
No.
Okay,
well,
I'll watch myself.
For you, maybe.
Yes.
Use the skills that you've developed
on
Sailor Noob to not spoil things.
Okay.
And apply that to The Flash.
All right.
I don't know if it's Japanese related. I actually don't know if the Japanese like The Flash at all.
They like superheroes. Why wouldn't they like The Flash?
I don't know. I mean, you're right. I mean, they're not monolithic, but I mean, like certain heroes are really popular or certain things resonate really well. And I don't know. I've never heard about that. I know there is a Japanese Flash.
Really?
Yes. Tanaka Ray is the Japanese Flash's name.
Okay.
He is from Earth D.
Okay.
He was in like a Crisis one-shot from 1999.
Wow.
And he was created by Marv Wolfman. So it's amazing his name isn't Legs.
Oh my God.
That's a Marv Wolfman joke.
It is.
And he meets the Flash, and the Flash helps him, solve something on his world. And interesting note, he doesn't have a costume ring like the Flash does. He has a costume pen.
Interesting.
Like a transformation pen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Okay, now we get it. Okay.
Well, I was thinking Japanese stationery is really popular and it's really cute.
No,
so
not.
I was like, I'm sorry.
He doesn't herald and the crimson crayon
right.
his costume on. No,
right.
His costume is inside of a pen.
Wrong kind of pen. Out. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's not necessarily a spoiler, but we'll talk about the film. Mika and I got a chance to see a screening of the film recently.
Yes.
And an advanced screening, and we've got thoughts. What are your thoughts? Non-spoilers.
You know what? I really liked it. I think especially, I think it was fun seeing Keaton again as Batman. It was fun. And
he's in the trailers.
Yeah, I know.
Not a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler.
He's the marketing, basically.
Yeah, basically. And I thought that the actress who played Superwoman, I'm not really sure. They never really say what her superhero title is. But
I was thinking about that. So not to
her name is Kara, so that's Supergirl.
Comment and absolutely. If they want to do Supergirl and they want to have her be like Linda Danvers and be in high school, I think that could totally work. And then you call her Supergirl, right?
Right.
But and she'd be played by an adult because that's how Hollywood works. But if she's going to be a Superwoman like she is in The Flash, we should call her Superwoman.
Probably.
But the problem is trademarks, isn't it?
Yeah.
you've got Supergirl trademarked as a name and they want to keep that name. And so, also maybe just make it Superwoman. I'm sure you've got that trademark as well, but like that's a different character. So I understand why they chose to dodge it in this film in which she's not really the main focus. But I'm Superwoman team all the way.
She was great. She was fantastic. She did a really good job.
Yeah.
I'd love to see more from that character. So yeah, and I think, I think Ezra Miller did a great job as well. Regardless of what you may think of their off-screen exploits, I think that they did a really good job in the film.
Yeah.
So.
And it certainly doubles down on having them in the film.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was great about it, without spoiling anything, is it comes at such a weird time in the development of the DC film universe.
Yes.
Which we won't go into here, but you understand.
Yep.
And so it serves as an introduction to this character who we've just never has only been in Justice League essentially, and we don't have like a background or an origin story for, and so it has to kind of do that. It also has to kind of like bring to a close the Snyderverse, so just this era of DC films, and kind of give us a hand into the new universe. And I think it does all of those things passingly well. I'm not sure it like excels at all those things. It's got a lot on its plate.
Yeah.
Because the Flash likes to eat a lot. But I think it does. It almost makes you go, gosh, I wish this was like the second or third Flash film instead of just all we got.
The only.
But for what it is, I think
yeah.
It's entertaining, and I mean, I hope the team that made it, gets to go on into this new era.
I hope so
of
too.
films.
I think they did a good job, and
it's a good movie.
Yeah, and like a lot of the DC films,
you could do a lot worse.
We don't. We don't need to go into detail, but some of them really not good. So this one really, I think, pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining and fun, and I recommend seeing it. So
me too. So if you want to check that out, that comes out June 16th, all over the world. Go run, don't walk.
Yes,
to the Flash, or you can walk because apparently he moves so fast that he can just like hang out. The thing about the Flash is like, I know he moves really fast.
Yeah.
But him thinking really fast is kind of the big deal, right? Because there are scenes in the movie that are important scenes where he's moving at super speed, but he's also just kind of standing there looking at stuff. And if he's just standing there, wouldn't the slow people have a better chance to see somebody standing there, even if they were only standing there? Isn't the constant motion what keeps him kind of invisible?
That's a really good point. I didn't think about that.
He thinks about everything. I think there's a line in the movie where he's got to like clean up his room, but he's like, I still have to like go through it. For me, it is 8 hours of cleaning up my room, even though it only takes like a second to do. So he still doesn't want to do it.
Right.
But anyway, so he could walk there and it wouldn't be a problem. But you should run to see The Flash. Let's get started. We're going to talk about what's on our mind this week. What have you got for this week's Shore Leave?
Oh, wow. Well, I've got a doozy for you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about Japan's obsession with toilets and poop. Because
you got a poozy.
A poozy,
all
yes.
Right.
Because I wanted to know what's up with that. Because I know about it. I've known about it for a really long time. It's just kind of there in the background. You don't really think about it too much. You're like, yeah, that's a thing. I don't know. So I wanted to find out why.
Poop.
And toilets.
Do it.
Yes. Oh, I'm going. Right. So Japan is known for, having spotless bathrooms and fancy toilets.
Right.
And, a lot of toilets have either a panel of buttons on the side of it or like on the wall that do all sorts of different functions, including, a bidet. And funny story, when I was in Japan in high school, my host family specifically told me, do not touch any of these buttons.
You poop.
Yeah,
Don't play.
That's right. And I think they were afraid because all of the buttons are in Japanese. Sometimes today...
We've got all the settings where we want them.
Well, that's probably true too. But sometimes, like, I think today, sometimes they're in English as well. But back then, they were all in Japanese.
Right.
And they were afraid I would push a button and I wouldn't know how to make something stop or go off. And then it would, like, flood the toilet would overflow.
We've talked about how things are in Japanese now, and that is pretty much true.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was, saying like, oh, we want to go to Japan, can we do that? And, you pointed out to him, everything's in English, you'll be okay.
A lot of the times, yeah.
Then we watched a movie about a guy going to Japan a little while ago called Gung Ho.
Yes.
We talked about it on our Patreon show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Michael Keaton.
Yes.
From The Flash, in Japan. And he's like, and I know that they probably shot it to make it seem more confusing, but he's at like the train station and there's just no English, there's maps and there's arrows. So that has been, in the last 25, 30 years, they have changed that a lot. Like everything is now in English.
I think so too. And I've heard from like YouTubers that I watch too, that like, especially in Tokyo with the Tokyo Olympics, they really made sure English was like everywhere.
Yeah, right.
So, I think especially in the big cities, you'd be totally fine. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, they try to speak English as much as they can. But, and then this is just kind of a funny side note. I have images as well for my presentation today, which Cal is going to help me with.
Yeah, let me know when to show images.
Yes. So when I was in Japan in college, I went over to a conversation partner's house and they had a bath mat that, one of those bath mats that goes around the toilet. I don't know what the specific name is. Anyways, it's cute. It's pink and it has little flowers on it. And then it says feelings. And I just, you're doing your business and you just see feelings.
Yes.
So I have an image of that, if you could be so kind, Cal.
Yeah,
all right. So awesome. So that's a fun little thing. So this should maybe come as no surprise, as we've talked about Shintoism a lot on Sailor Noob, but Japan has a toilet god because of course they do. This goes back to Shintoism. And the god's name is Kawayakami. And
the god of the toilet?
The god of the toilet.
Okay.
And this god can provide a good harvest and also protect people from falling into the toilet pit because
okay, yeah, sure.
Toilets, we don't really talk about this, but toilets probably the world over used to be a really scary, dark place.
Yeah. You
don't want to fall in there. So
no, I would imagine that you don't.
No. So
all over the world,
right? Exactly. So I don't have the exact dates for this specific thing, but traditionally in Japan, and this may go back just way back, but we know their main thing way back in the day was agriculture.
Yeah.
So traditionally, human waste was collected and used as fertilizer for farming. And this was actually much higher sanitation level than a lot of other countries where wastes were stored in like cesspits and disposed of.
Yeah.
So Kawayakami also had a role to play in promoting fertility, as human waste was collected and used as fertilizer, so that fertility piece.
Yeah.
Rituals were performed at the new year to ask Kawayakami for help in producing a good harvest. And in some places, family members would sit on a straw mat in front of a toilet and eat a mouthful of rice, symbolizing eating something that the god had left.
Okay. Can we take away?
I don't know specifically.
Can we get it in a
was
little white container?
Right. They don't. Here's a fun fact.
Yeah.
No takeout containers in Japan.
Yeah.
You can't get a doggy bag.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways, but a properly appointed toilet would be decorated and kept as clean as possible, as the toilet god was considered to be very beautiful. The state of the toilet was said to have an effect on the physical appearance of unborn children.
Whoa.
So pregnant women asked the toilet god to give boys a quote unquote high nose and dimples to a girl. Okay. If the toilet was dirty, however, it was said to cause children to be born ugly and unhappy.
Sure.
So I think that this belief in kabayakami most likely has influenced why Japanese bathrooms tend to be spotless. And I also think it probably has influenced in many Japanese homes, the toilet is kept in a separate room from the sink. Okay. And the tub and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's tucked away.
Sure.
We keep it clean, but
is the picture that you've got of the
no,
god?
I have.
Sorry, I didn't mean to rush you.
No, it's okay. I was looking and I found there is a shrine. I could have shown a picture of a shrine, but I was I was trying to find an image of the god, but I couldn't find anything. But I have toilet ghosts. So
okay, all right.
My next
even that. Yeah. J.K. Rowling. Not original. Come on.
Oh boy, have I got some toilet ghosts for you? So the first ghost is named Akaname, which literally translates to filth liquor. And so that's the first image, or image 2. Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. This is where I jump in and say that this looks like the guys from Resident Evil.
It probably is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
They have the sort of
the creepy
angled limbs.
Yes, and the claws. What are they? They're called liquors too, aren't they?
They're called they have some technical name that's their official name, but fandom has named them liquors.
Yeah, they're the liquors. That makes sense, and they have long filtering tongues.
This guy's getting into his filth here.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention this image and the next image are illustrations from yokai.com.
Okay.
Which is an awesome website all about yokai, and it's written and all the illustrations are by Matthew Meyer. So I just want to give a shout out. Got to give credit to the artist.
D&D guy? No, that's Matthew Mercer. Never mind.
I don't know. I was I don't know.
I smell leather bracelets. No, false alarm.
He might have leather bracelets. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't want to say. But Akaname is usually they're depicted as goblin-like creatures who eats filth, and they've got long flickering tongues, and in classical Edo period depiction the Akaname resembles a human child with clawed feet and cropped heads sticking out its long tongue so it licks filth in bathing areas and just the toilet and bathroom in general. So yeah. And I read too that they're not going to hurt you. They're just going to lick the filth.
Okay.
But apparently just
a friendly ghost.
No, I don't know, but they're not going to harm you.
Not the friendliest ghost, know.
Yeah.
The 5th or 6th friendly.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But apparently, I mean, this makes sense, right? Just running into yokai, not fun. So people keep their bathrooms clean because they don't want Akaname coming anywhere close to them.
They're missing out on a chance. Whoever the Johnson & Johnson is in Japan, the Hiroki and Hiroki or whatever. The scrubby bubbles. You have the little filth guys, and they're like, well,
but you make it really cute.
Yeah, they'll take care of this for you. They'll clean it all up.
Right. You make it a friendly tongue.
Well, it doesn't have to be friendly. Nobody's inviting the scrubby bubbles over for dinner.
Okay, the mucus guy.
Sitting down there, scrubby bubble. Yeah,
right.
Sitting next to your daughter. So you're a cleaning man, huh?
No, you don't want that.
Right. I should point out in the chat, Fandom Casual mentions that the Romans had a goddess of the toilets. Yes. Mm-hmm. Cloacina. Yeah.
Oh, so classy.
Romans and maybe the Japanese, comparable in terms of god of the paperclip. Oh, what the hell? God of the dust mote.
We got gods for everything.
Yeah. Even a tomb for the unknown god. Or an altar, I suppose.
Oh, wow.
I got JFK and the Bible mixed up. It's going around. Please continue telling us
All
about
right,
filth
yes.
lickers.
So the third image, the next one, is of Akamanto, or red cloak. And this is a Japanese urban legend about, about a masked spirit who wears a red cloak and who appears to people using toilets in public or school bathrooms.
No.
Yeah, just what you want, right? So
how have I not seen this in an anime?
it has to exist in animes. It has to be in horror films. It just has to be. I think I've seen depictions of this.
Scary.
Yeah, of this urban legend carrying a knife as well, and that is a white mask. That's not a face.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah. So accounts of this legend vary, but one consistent element of the story is that the spirit will ask they'll ask somebody who's using the toilet a question. Mm-hmm. And in some versions, he will ask if they want red paper or blue paper.
Oh, no.
And through other versions, they identify the choice as a red cloak or a blue cloak, or as a red cape or blue cape. But regardless, don't choose anything, because if you choose any of the options, he will kill you.
Japanese ghosts are always quizzing you.
Yeah.
And the quiz is always a trick.
Right?
Yeah. Is this like Morpheus with the red pill and the blue pill?
Oh my God. I don't know. That's a really good question.
Choose the blue cloak, you stay in the toilet. Things go on. If you take the red cloak, you flush. You're coming with me.
Oh my God.
But you could go down the toilet and
right.
then come out in the real world. Terrifying.
That is terrifying. Yeah. So you can reject both options and flee in order to survive, basically. And then the next image is the most famous of the toilet ghosts in Japan. It's Toire no Hanako-san, or Toilet Hanako. And this legend varies, but I know you were talking about Moaning Myrtle before.
Is this from a movie?
This is from a movie. Okay. There have been many Hanako movies.
Oh.
And there have...
Oh, is Hanako the one that fought the Ring Girl?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
They had a Freddy versus Jason where it was like Ring versus whatever. I can't remember what Samara's name is in Japanese. But
oh, right. I don't know. It might have been. But yeah, she's all over Japanese culture and media.
She's big.
Hanako... She's pretty popular. But one version is that Hanako died after being bullied and locked in a school toilet, either by fellow students or her parents.
Oh.
Yeah. And then another version is she was a kid who was killed during an air raid in World War II while she was playing hide and seek in the bathroom.
Okay. That's your cinematic origin,
right?
Or you go with the child abuse angle, but yeah.
Either way, it's rough. And so it is so popular and so ingrained in Japanese culture because it's an even stronger urban legend than Akamanto. And it's just really associated with schools across Japan. Mm-hmm. And so there's a legend, and this reminds me of Bloody Mary a little bit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if Hanako-san is there, so basically, supposedly you can summon her by knocking on the third stall of a toilet 3 times and saying, "Are you there, Hanako-san?" And if Hanako-san is there, she will reply with some variation of "Yes, I am." And depending on the story, the individual may then witness the appearance of a bloody or ghostly hand. The hand, or Hanako-san herself, may pull the individual into the toilet, which may lead to hell.
Oh,
so
okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or the individual may be eaten by a 3-headed lizard who claims that the individual was invading Hanako's privacy.
Who's horning in on Hanako's turf here? Who's the lizard?
I don't know.
My lizard, by the way.
Well, it's 3-headed, so is it associated with hell? Like, you leave Hanako alone.
I don't know.
Like the 3-headed dog,
Well, that's not, that's
I know.
Western, not Eastern.
I know. I don't know where the three-headed lizard comes from.
Huh. Where is your bathroom god now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So then I have Ki no Unko, or golden poo. So if we go to the next image, this is good luck poop, or Ki no Unko, which is a Japanese cultural phenomenon.
Fantastic.
Yes. So unko and unchi are both words that mean poop. There are more. We're not going to get into it now.
Yeah, all right.
So Ki no Unko became an icon simply because its un sound at the beginning matches the un sound of the Japanese word for good luck.
Okay.
It's another wordplay, so amazing. So by 2006, I'm not sure exactly when this started, but by 2006, 2.7 million mobile phone charms of Ki no Unko had been sold. Okay. I'm sure it's way more than that by now. And then if we go to the next image, the flame ornament atop the Asahi Beer Hall in Tokyo is also called Ki no Unko for its similarity. So this flame is supposed to be a poo.
No, wait, it's supposed to be? Or they made it like, hey, look at this cool flame. And they're like, well, it looks like poop. And it just...
I'm not sure which came first, to be perfectly honest. Because I saw it and I thought, oh, this is like, this is like
a torch.
It looks like a torch.
Yeah.
It's stylized, but it has become to be known as, it's called Ki no Unko. I don't know who started calling it that. But yeah, Asahi Beer Hall is probably like, yeah, we meant to do that. I don't know if it was intentional.
Yeah, golden poop, right?
Yeah.
It's lucky.
Right.
Fire that guy. Yeah.
But it's right by Asakusa, which is, there's this huge temple and shopping area in Tokyo. So, and then you just see that right there.
I'll meet you by the big poop.
Yeah, exactly. And also, of course, who can forget the poop emoji, which is incredibly popular.
Of course.
And then, so like the gold luck poop and the poop emoji have like the little swirl poop form, which is like what Japanese poo characters look like, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different characters that are like that now. Like there's a cute little cat character that has a head that's like a little poop swirl, but it's like pink and cute, and
it's a poop head.
Yeah, but there's just so much, and I thought you would appreciate this. Like in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there's an item known as Hetsu's Gift, which resembles Ki no Unko.
Yeah, so
that's on purpose.
You got to do the whole thing though.
Yeah,
there's 1,000 creatures called Koroks in the game.
Yes.
Yes. You have to do little puzzles to like uncover, and when you do, they give you Korok's gifts, which have a distinctive smell. They say.
Yep.
And they're like currency. You can trade them in for upgrades and stuff like that.
Of course you can.
But then there's the main guy, Hetsu, who's the guy with the maracas, right?
Yes.
He's like the king of all Koroks.
Yes.
If you give him all 1,000 of these little gifts, then yeah, he gives you a big gift. And the description says it smells terrible. And I don't think it does anything. It's just a big golden poop emoji, basically.
It's so weird.
You guys.
Well, and like their poop is their seeds that they give you are like golden in appearance too.
Right, yeah. It's gold, yeah.
It's weird.
Are Koroks like filth eaters then? Is that their secret? You never see a toilet in Legend of Breath of the Wild.
I don't know. They look like leaves.
Yeah, they're little forest spirits.
I have no idea. That's a really good question. Like the filth lickers are supposedly, I was reading about it too, like where they come from is like if you don't clean, they will be born from the filth.
Yeah, but okay.
They just emanate.
Spontaneous generation.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And they're like, it's a living.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it exactly.
Yeah.
So essentially because un also means good luck, you can buy a ton of poo-shaped items all over Japan. That is why they love poo.
Of course.
One reason why.
Merchandising.
Yes, exactly. And then I have one final image, English, I was getting ahead of myself, for English learners in Japan. there is the Unko drill series. So their mascot is an anthropomorphic poop. He's got a poop swirl for a head,
yes.
glasses, mustache, and he always has some sort of suit. Sometimes he's got a regular tie. Sometimes he's got a bow tie. Yeah. This guy's got a whole closet. But word drill in Japanese can be used to describe a question textbook as well as the shape of a poop.
Okay.
So that's another wordplay there. And these textbooks have become really popular, and it's kind of like, it's specifically for English learners. I think for the most part, it might have branched out into other things, but it's like they have workbooks for like little kids that have this character, and all of the examples for like things that you're supposed to practice and stuff like that have poop in the example.
Okay.
And
wow.
yeah, and I forgot what I was going to say, something else, and I can't remember where it was.
Poop examples.
Oh, yes. Okay. So it's kind of a good way of thinking of it is it's kind of for dummies.
Poop for dummies.
Yeah, but it's got this little Unko guy.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like a for dummies book, but because it's branched out into other things. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So poop and toilets.
We got some comments in the chat. Fandom Casual asks, isn't there a poop-based detective?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure either. Is it a book or is it a manga? Give us a little more detail if you have it. And then Pink Coffee Cake. Hi, Pink Coffee Cake. Says,
hi, Pink Coffee Cake.
I believe there's an English to Japanese series on YouTube, because it looks very familiar.
Okay.
So have they turned this into a multimedia franchise?
Of course. Why not?
Yeah. Poop's taking over the world.
Is it Poop or is it
Hanako-san?
Because I think Hanako-san might have an anime or
Poop
something like that
too.
Yeah, Poop on the Moon.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that Hanako series though. Wow.
I know.
Do they all die in the toilet? Or it's in an American film be like, oh, let's have sex in this toilet, and then like Hanukkah's like.
Because okay, so I think the poster that you would normally see for this movie, it's like all dark and scary, and it's like 3 teenage kids, and they're like, and then there's like this tiny little girl. So I think she's usually depicted as like a young girl, you know, and so like they're all like kind of scared, and there's like this young girl like far away, you know, and stuff. So yeah,
I love it.
I don't know, but they have one that's like the beginning.
Hanako, the beginning.
Yeah, it's like
that's
okay.
It. You see, it's World War II,
right?
Air raid sirens go off, right? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That's how you have to do it.
What are you talking about today, Cal?
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, first of all.
You're welcome.
Very edifying. So I had a topic that's kind of been developing in my brain, so much so that I actually had to ditch what I was going to talk about this week, and I'll talk about that in a future show.
Okay.
But me here on this show...
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I am, a lover and not an expert. I know a little about a little and a lot... No, I know a lot about a little and a little about a lot.
Sure, yeah.
As far as anime goes. And it's safe to say that I'm an anime fan, but I'm hardly a scholar.
Sure, me neither.
That might actually be the premise of this show. So when we watch Sailor Moon, I'm enjoying it as a well-made piece of like 90s anime goodness, but I don't know necessarily who directed or wrote every episode or what connections it might have to other anime or what have you. We're saving that for our next series, Sailor Vets. So stay tuned for that. And it wasn't until recently when we watched the first episode of the anime Penguin Drum for our Patreon show, Animetification, that I became consciously aware of the existence of the creator and director of that series, Mr. Kunihiko Ikuhara, and his indelible effect on the Sailor Moon anime.
Oh. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about that generally, but a couple things specifically.
Okay.
First, some background. Ikuhara was born in Osaka in 1964. He graduated from the Kyoto University of Art and Design.
Very nice.
Very prestigious art school. That's like Cal Arts in Japan.
Yeah, probably.
Right? And after art school, he started working for Toei. Mm-hmm. And he served as assistant director under Junichi Sato, another huge name. Mm-hmm. And they worked on Mapletown Monogatari, Akuma-kun, Maretsu Otaro, another series. And most importantly, however, to this live stream and this show, he worked under Sato-san on Sailor Moon.
Yes.
In the first season. And as well as the Ailin On arc of Sailor Moon R.
Yes.
At the end of the Ailin On arc, Sato goes on to greener pastures.
Okay.
He didn't die.
I was going to say, wait, what happened?
Is that what it means when you die?
I don't know.
He left the series. Ikuhara replaces him as the series director and has that role until the end of Sailor Moon Supers. So all the way through season 4.
Yes.
Ikuhara is in control. And he directed and developed the Sailor Moon R movie as well. Mm-hmm. After that, he would leave the show and found the creative group B-Papas, who would then produce Revolutionary Girl Utena, as well as the sequel film, Adolescence of Utena. Then he takes a 10-year break from producing anime.
Okay.
He writes a novel, he writes a manga series, and he is a musician or like a producer as well. And he produces a concept album based on this novel that he wrote.
Okay.
He'd write a serial novel in the mid-aughts called Nokemono to Hayone, which would become a manga series.
All right.
And it was inspired by the Tokyo subway sarin gas attack.
Right.
In 2011, he returns to the world of anime to direct the anime series Penguin Drum, which would also become a manga series and has a film release. Mm-hmm. It was also inspired by the Tokyo subway sarin gas attack.
Yeah, and like after watching the first episode, you're like, excuse me, what? Okay?
Yep. In 2014, he'd write the manga series Yurikuma Arashi, or Lesbian Bear Storm.
All right.
Which would be made into an anime in 2015. Uh-huh. It was based on the 1915 Sankebetsu brown bear incident. So, oh God, thank God. I don't know. Maybe the bear had connections to the gas attack. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Which maybe we'll talk about in the future. But it was essentially in 1915, over the course of 6 days, this bear goes cocaine bear on a bunch of people, attacks a bunch of homes. It's not all that funny. It was 100 years ago. Kills 9 people, wounds a score or more, and is finally taken down by people. So
what happened to this bear? But it's a funny
series. I don't know. Sake Bear? Maybe it's a prequel? I don't know.
Oh my God.
So in 2019, he created and co-directed the anime Sarenzanmi, which is like a yokai series, but for adults.
Very nice.
And we will definitely talk about that in the future. Mm-hmm. And it is based on the attack by capital on society. Surprise, all of his work has been a criticism of capitalism this entire time.
Oh, well, so there you go.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And in March of last year, he announced that he was changing his name to Bonsoir Ikuhara.
Bonsoir Ikuhara.
Which was basically a thing to promote an album that he was doing with J-pop stars Bonjour Suzuki and Taiko.
Is he like seriously officially changing his name, or
no, he just does that once in a while?
Okay.
He's a goofy guy. Nickname Ikuni.
Yeah, right.
Ikuni-kun.
Yeah. I guess I just felt like I had to take that seriously because, you know, a lot of folks are changing their names, you know, these days, and like, I don't know, you want to be Bonsoir, then fine, be Bonsoir, you know? Right. But like if it's for a concept album, all right, that's cool too, dude.
Yeah, it was promotional.
Okay.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
So his work on Sailor Moon. For his work on Sailor Moon, he became known for his offbeat sense of humor, his willingness to explore darker themes that you usually wouldn't find in a children's TV series.
Yeah.
And now,
can't find in Supers,
having
really.
the scales fall from my eyes and realizing that this guy has been part of what we've been watching this entire time, I had to go back and see which episodes that he directed.
Yeah, let's hear it.
To see that that's true. Like if the humor was there, the themes were there, and what we thought of some of those episodes. And I have to say that we roundly loved the show when he was at the helm. Mm-hmm. it's possible that he is responsible for my love of this show. Mm-hmm. When there was only one set of footprints, Ikuni carried us. Now, he carried us to the end of the pier and threw us in with supers, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so here are some of the specific episodes that he directed. Episode 6, which I won't go through the whole titles, but episode 6, Jazz Club.
Oh, I love that episode.
Great episode.
Which
Love in the Rain. Right? My rating 4, your rating 4. Episode 11, Scary Theme Park, Robotic Bears. Dream Princess.
Oh, yes. Yep. That was a good one, too.
My rating 3, 4. Episode 15, Ray's First Date, Mr. Kunitachi. I only gave that one a 2 for some reason, but I like Mr. Kunitachi.
I like Mr. You go back to Mr. Kunitachi.
You gave that a 4. 21, Protect the Children's Dreams, Friendship Linked by Anime, the anime episode where we go to the anime studio.
Yeah.
4 and 4.
Okay.
26, Boxy.
Oh, Boxy.
Which, we love Boxy, but we only gave that 3s between us.
Oh, so. Well, some of these we might change.
Episode 31, Love and Chaste, Luna's Worst Day Ever.
Fantastic.
Red Butler!
Yes!
5-4.
Oh, I would give that a 5.
Episode 36, Barbershop. 3-2. They get better. Episode 46, the last episode, Everybody Dies.
Yeah.
We both gave it 5s. Episode 51, Omakuji, Everybody Gets New Powers.
Yes.
We both gave it a 4. Episode 60, Chibiusa.
Oh.
I gave it a 5. You gave it a 4.
No,
Episode 68, Clash of the 10 Warriors. 2 5s.
Yep.
92, The Secret of Haruka Tenno.
Oh.
Meow meow. We both gave it a 5. 103, Chibi Comes Back.
Yes.
4-5. 110, The Death of Uranus and Neptune. 5-5.
Yeah, it was.
117, Cheers by Usagi. Pinchy. I think this is the Pinchy one.
This is the Pinchy one?
Yeah, 2 and 3.
I didn't like that one as much.
128, First Supers episode, 3 and 4. And 137, this is as far as we've got. He's directed 2 or 3 episodes after this. But 137, Invitation of a Beautiful Fairy, which we've had words about, but I give it a 4, you give it a 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than a lot of other episodes we've had as Supers. And it was, like, I think our first episode with Fisheye. And I think, for the most part, I feel like the Fisheye episodes are kind of better besides the Minako episode.
So there are only 3 2s in this entire collection of ratings. There are more than a few 5s. There's probably about 7 or 8 5s. So high 4, solid 4 on the ratings.
I honestly...
only 3 movies so far.
Yeah.
R's the best movie. I'll say that. That's my opinion.
I like R, but I really like S.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that. So anyway, a lot of his work has themes of, if not criticisms of capitalist system, specifically criticisms of systems of control, as much in authority, as much as you can in a children's show that is not going to go too into like the man is coming after us, but it's a lot, these characters sort of fighting against these systems. I think that's really interesting. So if he's so hot, what happened? Well, there's a long-standing rumor that Ikuhara, Ikuni-kun, and Naoko Takeuchi don't like each other very much.
I have heard this rumor as well.
And it might come down to the senshi that Ikuhara likes dressing up like a lot. And that is Rei Hino.
Yep.
Now, in the manga, Rei is a mature and self-assured character who's got no time for boys.
Yep.
In the anime, she's, let's say, not so much all those things.
Yeah, right.
And there's a couple of different reasons why that's the case. Characters often change when adapting them from media to media, or medium to medium. And the makers of the anime, they're turning a romantic manga about this young girl into an anime with many different characters, and most importantly, the theme is friendship.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So it made it more sense, I think, to the writers to differentiate Rei as a character who would also be a good rival and a foil for Usagi.
I think the foil part for sure was there. Like, I think the friendship is there in the manga too, and she's a very, if you want varied characters, she's varied from the other girls, but...
Oh, yeah, but I mean, can she hang with these girls who are going to Fruit Parlor Crown and who are talking about boys and stuff like that. We see in...
She can, but she's just not interested in boys. Right. You start talking about boys, she just does not care.
And if you want us to hear us talk about that kind of Rey, we've got an entire review of the entire series of live-action Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Where they pretty much took that as their starting point. That and I Hate You, Dad, that too.
Which is also in the manga.
So all this makes sense, but Tuxedo Unmasked, who we have referenced on the show and does good research, has a different theory about Rey, why Rey might be different. Okay, so Rey goes to TA Academy.
Yes.
Which was based on Toyo Eiwa Jogakuen, which is a Catholic school that's located in Roppongi district. And it's in a part of Roppongi that's got a lot of schools and embassies. It's really like the upper crust part of the town. But there's another part of Roppongi, a wilder part, where one might expect to run into some Nampa, and one could apply for comfort to any tender girl.
Stop it.
The nightclub district.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about this when we did episode 90.
Yeah.
And Ikuhara, who was a nightlife guy himself, and the staff of the show might have had a different picture in mind when they thought of a Roppongi girl.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So they could have done both, though. By day, she's a Catholic schoolgirl, but by night, she's a Catholic schoolgirl. Ikuhara has been to several conventions and events, and he's dressed as Sailor Mars and talks about her a lot. And so, obviously...
Clearly his favorite character.
His favorite character.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the problem. So Tuxedo Unmasked found an interview from the 1992 issue of Animage between the interviewer and the editorial staff, and Rey's voice actress was there, and part of the production crew of the anime was there.
Yeah.
And the title of the feature was Special Operation, Plan to Skyrocket Rey's Popularity.
Okay.
So it's just like right on the cover, this is what it is. The header of the article reads like this. Quote, while Ami and Usagi's popularity keeps rocketing up, Sailor Mars doesn't seem to be all that popular. We can't let that stand. We've gotten Rey's voice actress, Michi Tomizawa, together with the main staff to have a debate about Rey in order to fix this situation. We call this the plan to skyrocket Rey's popularity.
Oh my God.
Do we think we can get her even more popular than Ami?
Oh boy.
And as you've talked about on the show before, Ami was killing it in polls.
Because when you think in Japan, she's an idealized student. That's the idealized.
But wouldn't they want like the badass like homework? Like wouldn't they do their homework in real life and then be like, oh, but I like the one that's like no homework?
Well, they might be like Usagi in real life. Like, I don't want to do this, but wow, my parents would really like it if I was more like a me. And so maybe I want to be more like a me. I don't know.
Maybe this is why Japanese ghosts and their tests are so effective. Because even when you're asking a Japanese student, who's your favorite character? They're like, what are people going to think about the answer?
Yes.
Oh, Ami, definitely.
I think maybe, yeah.
I love how she wants to do homework all the time.
She's always studying. She wants to be a doctor. My parents want me to be a doctor.
They had I don't know how many people are on the list. I think maybe it's like, let's say 50. That's probably a good number, right? Who's your favorite character? Ami, number 1. Usagi, number 5. Rey, 17.
Yeah.
And this is 1992. This is like, this has just come out. I mean, the manga's been out. The show's out. Who do you like? Rey. Well, she's okay.
Right.
So for the interview, they had Michi Tomizawa, the voice actress behind Rey, Iria Azuma, a producer on the show, Kazuko Tadano, who's a character designer on the show, and Ikuhara.
Of course.
And the article starts by referencing an earlier article they did where they interviewed Tomizawa, and she was complaining about Rey being treated like a joke character. In episode 15, Mamoru steps on her head and then goes on a date with her later.
Well, right.
And there was a consensus among the interviewees that the characterization is... This guy's doing it. Kunio-kun's doing it over here. It's his thing. He directed all those episodes. But then the interview kind of turns a little bit. And Tomizawa talks about all the positive fan responses that she's received from this feisty, more animated Rey.
Fiery Rey.
In the anime, And Azuma, the producer, also says this was Ikuhara's goal in producing the anime and developing the character into, quote, his ideal type of woman. So the whole thing, it comes off like a total puff piece, like PR stab.
I mean, when
between the production and the magazine, he'd be like, "Can you help us out here a little bit? We got to sell these Ray dolls."
Right, but when you say it like that, it makes it sound like he's like, "Well, I don't like this character is like this in the manga, and these are the notes we're getting from the creator, Nako Takeuchi. She's not really around, right? No, okay, let's make her my favorite character."
Well, remember, like, we'll ask Naoko what she thinks, but we're Toei. We're doing this here. This is our thing now. So call
100%.
Cut the check to Anamage magazine.
Yeah.
Well, as you'd imagine, Nako Takeuchi was not happy about the change in Rei.
No.
And it's led to the belief that they actively hate each other.
Yep.
And that Ikuhara even said once in an interview that Sailor Moon would have been better off without Takeuchi's involvement. But...
ouch.
I read all of the research that Tuxedo Unmasked did for various articles, and he couldn't find anywhere that Ikuhara had actually said those words.
Okay.
But Takeuchi herself has written in the past about her dismay that the anime did not more closely follow the manga.
I was aware of that.
Specifically, the Sailor Moon R movie. Which was 100% Ikuhara going off and doing his own thing.
Yeah, and she wasn't happy about that because they didn't really work with her at all on that. And I think you've mentioned before, like, I know we talked about when we talked about the S movie, it's completely based on a story that she did in the manga. Yes. And for Supers, this is not a spoiler, but she did a lot of the character design for that. I don't know how much the rest of her involvement was, but she was involved.
Yeah.
I don't think she was involved at all.
No. And there's actually another, giving him a lot of plugs today. Go to TuxedoUnmasked.com.
Yeah.
But he's got a great breakdown. They interviewed Ikuhara in this weird, rambling, long interview about what he was trying to accomplish with the Sailor R movie. And it was to... like in the 70s and 80s, there was, they probably still exist in a way, but there was something called like an idol film, which is basically just like a comedy or romance movie featuring, a popular actress. And they weren't necessarily like great cinema or literature, but they had certain aspects to them. And he wanted to sort of copy or imitate those aspects. And you see this in like the opening of the movie, the sort of vignette scenes that we have, and then the kiss between Usagi and Mamoru in the greenhouse, and the girls kind of like, ooh, kind of peeking in, and that sort of romantic feel is what he wanted to capture, which I think works great. That's one of the reasons that I like the movie so much.
It does work well, yeah.
But she didn't like that, and in the afterword for her Princess Kaguya book, she talked about how I didn't like that, and so that's why I work so hard to be involved in the Sailor Moon S movie. So I don't know. So anyway, no evidence that they actually do hate each other, but it has become essentially fan canon
lore,
lore for now. Yeah,
I think that fans are definitely at least read through the lines. I do know, like I know for sure she was not happy about.
So Human
the character
Luna
change for Rei.
Blame Naoko.
Yeah. If you don't like Human Luna, that is 100%
grosses you
Naoko.
out as much as she does me. Go key your car or something. So why did he quit ultimately? This is something else that we don't necessarily know. And in the wake of him quitting, all of his interviews are about Revolutionary Girl. And he barely talks about Sailor Moon at all. He was like, why would he be talking about that? He wants to talk about his projects now.
He already has a foot out.
So if you get him drunk, in a restaurant or something,
izakaya or something,
ask him.
Yeah.
But he definitely left because he felt like he didn't have enough creative control on Sailor Moon, and he left to create his own anime with blackjack and lesbians,
right?
And fencing.
Yes.
So can we assume that the failings of Supers, as we see them, are down to his lack of creative control?
Possibly.
Or what we don't like is that him exerting his force. If he had gotten his creative control, would we hate it even more?
I mean, like, I think you have a really good point that, like,
I can't tell you until the series is over.
Well, no, but I feel like a lot of the episodes that you mentioned we really liked, and we have not really liked much
I like
of
the
Supers.
ones from this season that I mentioned, though.
Yeah.
Those are good rating.
Right.
Or was he just bored?
He could have been bored, or it could have been... I don't know whose decision it was to... To me, Supers has a total tone shift for the entire series, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
And I read another article that Tuxedo MS did about Supers, and I don't know the names off the top of my head, but there was a new head producer who came in for Supers. That was like the biggest creative team
I want
change.
ladies in chains and manacles.
I don't know. And like, so
I want a cross-dressing character, but we never talk about it.
We never talk about it. I think that, like, you know, they definitely talked about, like, we want it to be funny and be slice of life, and, like, you know, that's what people really like about Sailor Moon. I'm like, but, like, they were talking about how, you know, people, she has to fight monsters sometimes, but people come for the friendship and the interactions, and it's like, yes, but they are also superheroes who transform and fight the bad guys.
And of that list of episodes, there are definitely a lot of episodes that are like, oh, Luna's worst day or whatever. Things that are departures or are eccentric. But then he also did the Battle of the 10 Warriors. He directed the finale of the original series,
which is great.
So he can hit the emotional marks.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's like the ringer that they bring in for a lot of the big deal episodes.
It feels like it.
Because they know that he can get it done. And then in the meantime, he will also be doing interesting character bits.
Right. Which I also feel like we're not getting in Supers.
Right. Because, like, you know, I was affected emotionally by the finale of the original Sailor Moon series.
Yes.
And so that affected my rating. But also there are things that happened in that, or like the introduction of Chibi.
Yep.
Look, go back through the episodes.
Yep.
It's like a pink cloud hanging over me, you know, having to be introduced to Chibi. And then she's introduced... And I know it was in the manga. And she's pulling a gun out.
Yep.
But there's also there's weird things happening. Those are the things that would make me go, I'm giving this a 5. Not going, this is important, I'm going to give it a 5. I gave it a 5 because I was entertained by it.
Right, of course.
And so, like, even though I don't know how much of what we don't like about Supers are his artistic tendencies, and I'm going to talk about that in 1 second. I still think that, like, this is a guy who has a spark and has something about him.
I think so too. And I mean, the same article definitely talked about how there was it was a conscious choice to focus on Chibi. You know, and like,
but they didn't commit to it though.
No, and like, I don't know if they thought their demographic was changing or what.
Well, they're getting older.
Yeah.
So he has been called the David Lynch of anime, and he himself has expressed interest in collaborating with David Lynch.
I heard about that.
On something.
Yeah.
Maybe a weather report. I don't know about that. I've seen weirder things.
Yeah.
You know?
I have seen weirder
things.
Boogie
Pop Phantom.
Yeah.
Should
Boogie Pop
maybe
Phantom
be
is really
the
weird.
David Lynch or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's David Lynch. I have a theory that Ikuhara, who may like and be influenced by David Lynch, is much more similar to another American writer and producer.
Who's that?
Brian Fuller.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Fuller hopefully needs no introduction, but as we talk, you'll find out if you don't know who he is. But Brian Fuller, here are some bullet points that compare completely to the work of Ikuni-kun.
Mm-hmm.
Weird genre stuff.
Yes.
Brian Fuller's never made a fat dad, hot wife sitcom or a cop drama. He's always doing science fiction and fantasy. Female protagonists.
Yep.
Number 1.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where when Ikuhara did Sarazanmai, he's like, I got to do a show that's about boys. I've only ever done female stuff. So he specifically made that about like young boys. Feisty characters.
Oh, yeah.
And the quips, you know, and the dialogue. LGBTQ characters.
Yep.
Ikuni is, you know, as far as we know, just a straight dude. That's fine. Brian Fuller's a gay guy.
Mm-hmm.
But they both want to have that in their stuff.
Yep.
challenging the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Many of Fuller's shows and characters are characters who are part of an organization or part of something which they are reacting against or they are oppressed by, exacting creative standards and demanding a high level of creative control, which often leads to them walking away from projects.
Yes.
And quitting.
That is very true.
Starting on a big franchise and then leaving.
Yep.
Brian Fuller got to start on Star Trek.
Uh-huh.
The American Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
And then left.
Yeah.
Here are some projects that Brian Fuller has walked away from.
A lot.
And he has created all of these shows.
Yes.
Except for the Star Trek ones.
Yeah.
Dead Like Me.
Yep.
Discovery.
Mm-hmm. Star Trek Discovery. Right?
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
Kind of walked away from Hannibal. It was also basically canceled and ran out of time.
Yeah.
Wonder Falls. American Gods.
Mm-hmm.
He helped create Heroes, left it, was rehired for it, and then left it. The Vampire Chronicles show, which never got off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He has left nearly every project he's been a part of. If you have dinner with Brian Fuller, he will not be there for dessert.
No.
He will get up and leave.
He might not even be there for the check.
He has his own... Well, I don't know about that. I'm not saying he's cheap.
I'm not saying he's cheap.
He's got his own Fullerverse.
Okay,
and I think you could argue there is an Ikuniverse.
Yes.
You know, Ikuni often has references to things that he has done in his own stuff. Mm-hmm. When a character yells out, Beatrice!
What?
Or maybe we got that wrong. And also, this is just my own personal opinion. I think music is both important to both these creators.
I think so.
Ikuhara, a musician himself, producer.
Yeah.
And Brian Fuller has a lot of music and popular music in his stuff.
He also did Pushing Daisies, which I think he didn't leave. I think it was canceled.
Well, it was canceled.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was mad about that.
I'm sure he was too.
So that's all well and good. I think that he's the Brian Fuller. Let me know what you think about that in the Discord or on our social media. Just to wrap this up and to connect this back to Evangelion, because everything does.
Yes.
You know, Hideaki Anno, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, worked as a key animator and a storyboard artist on some episodes of Sailor Moon.
That's awesome.
And he specifically helped direct the transformation sequences for Uranus and Neptune.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Very cool.
And Ikuhara is rumored to have influenced the creation of Kaoru Nagisa, one of the characters in Evangelion.
Huh.
So, story time. In an interview, not on Tuxedo Unmasked, Ikuhara explained that he had a lot of discussions with Anno when he worked on Sailor Moon. Mm-hmm. And they were like work friends and they hung out. And the whole company went to an onsen for like a company outing. Mm-hmm. And the two hung out a lot. And then one night, the story isn't going to get as sexy as it sounds like it's going to. They stayed up all night in like an open air bath in the onsen and had like really deep conversations, man.
Okay.
And apparently Ikuhara shared a story with Anno about how as a teenager, he felt like a lot of pressure and a lot of despair about meeting people's expectations and not making any mistakes.
I mean, that makes sense. Sure.
It's very reminiscent of a scene in Evangelion in the 24th episode where Shinji and Kaoru have a similar conversation.
Interesting.
But in the interview, Ikuhara rejects the idea that he's the direct basis for either of those characters.
Okay.
And he says he definitely said, I like you and not I love you. That's a joke for pissed off Ava fans. So thought that's really interesting. Everything's connected. I've heard that like you work on Sailor Moon and then you either leave to work on Utena or on Evangelion. That's how it works.
Well, I have also heard that Rei in Evangelion is named Rei after Rei from Sailor Moon.
That's possible.
That is what
Pretty
I heard.
Common name though.
Yeah, but that's what I've heard.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. It
That's
could
why
be more
Ray's
fan
like,
lore.
oh, Shinji.
No.
If you like...
She's more like Rei in the manga, except
She
she's
is.
probably even more stoic. Yeah.
If you like and or love Evangelion, we have a new bi-monthly feature called Beyond Good and Ava, where we talk about the psychological and the philosophical concepts in the anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion. And our latest episode just came out, and on it we talk about the Hedgehog's Dilemma.
which is very appropriate because
it's appropriate.
The episodes talk about that quite a bit.
Yes, and it is a core idea behind the series, and we talk about where that comes from and who came up with that, things like that. So if that interests you, you can check that out on our Patreon. Thanks to our patrons for your support, and we couldn't do this show without you.
Yes.
And I want to remind everybody that patron or no, we have lots more Sailor Noob content on our Patreon at patreon.com/Sailor Noob. If you want to support the show and be a patron, you can go to our Patreon, or you can give us a tip at coffee, ko-fi.com/JustEnoughTrope. We'd love to have you as a patron. And we've got a Discord, which we've talked about before. It's free to join. You can find the link right here on Twitch in our About page to join our Discord. And don't forget to subscribe before we go. As we wrap up the show.
Yes.
Anything else that we need to mention?
I want to talk about the next episode real quick.
Oh, yes. What's happening on the next episode of Sailor Noob?
The next episode of Sailor Noob, we are talking about episode number 144. And the Japanese title is Kirameku Natsu no Hi, Shiokaze no Shoujo Ami in Japanese, or Shining Summer Days, Ami Under the Sea Breeze, Super Transformation. I think I had part of this title from last episode. Oh. It is Shining Summer Days, Ami Under the Sea Breeze, the English translation, and the English title, Beach Blanket Bungle.
They're putting me out of a job.
Yeah, I know.
They're putting me out of a job.
It's a beach episode, everybody.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm like, oh, it's an Ami episode. But then I realized, I have liked some of the Ami episodes. Mm-hmm. But you know who never directed an Ami episode?
Ikuhara. Yeah.
Not interested.
Nope.
No, not taking that job. And it's a beach episode.
Yep.
So interesting.
Yep.
We'll have to see what sort of frilly modesty skirt one pieces that we can come up with for Ami to wear.
I know. She is a swimmer. We know this.
She is a swimmer, though. Yes.
Yeah.
Swim for the future, Ami. So that's what we'll be talking about on our next episode. But that's it for this episode of Shore Leave. Thanks, everybody, again for joining us.
Thank you.
And continue the conversation on social media and Discord. And we will see you next week when we make up for another episode of Sailor Noob.
Bye.